Okay. So welcome everyone again. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we're going to be discussing conditionals for today's class. Okay. So like we were discussing for the previous session, right, on reports. Sometimes some of your reports, sometimes even without having to talk about a report or write a report, conditionals are used in the common language, right? And not just English, any language that you speak or you know of or you're going to learn in the future, they all have the segment on conditionals, right? So it's a very important part of both speech as well as writing. And there's no particular difference between how you form a conditional in the spoken language or written language, right? Um, so that is the first part about it. But before we, discuss anything about the other aspects and details of conditionals, there's one thing that you need to know about the conditionals, which is where are they used, right? So what are conditional statements, and when do you need them? The clue is there in the name itself, right? We call them conditionals. That is, if you want to introduce a condition anywhere, then you have a set of rules. There are different kinds of conditional based on what kind of condition or what exact instance of condition you want to present to people, right? So, based on those instances, based on those time instances, we divide the conditionals into at least 3 or 4 main categories, right? We call them the zero conditional, first conditional, second, and the third conditional. There's also fourth conditional in your list, but then it's not a very commonly used form of conditional. But the first four, which is the zero, first, second, third, are something that you can find easily in our conversations and writing, right? So, as far as the practice part is concerned or knowing part is concerned, you need to know all the zero, first, second, and third one and their use, right? Very, very important. Okay. So, express is a condition. This much we know, right? Whenever you need to express a condition, you have to use a conditional. Can you talk a little bit more about the conditional in terms of its grammar? Let's begin from, let's say we start from the very basic part. What kind of a sentence is a conditional sentence? Is it a simple sentence? Is it a compound sentence? Or is it a complex sentence?
Ma'am, complex sentence.
It's a complex sentence. Yeah. So, what makes it complex? Say you have a sentence like, let me give you an example. Um, if mm, you like me, you will finish everything in the plate. Right? For example, this is the sentence you have. If you like me, you will finish everything in the plate. Right? Very common to Indian households. So what are we saying? What part of this makes it a complex sentence? Why would you say this is a complex sentence? We're also sort of revising on, types of sentences and clauses at this point. So if you
If
like me, you will
close,
finish every. Sorry.
if is used, that is why we can say it's become if because of if it becomes conditional sentence.
Okay, it was not very clear to me. Would be nice if you can repeat again. What part
There
of it
is
makes
one
it?
because of independent clause.
Okay, because of dependent clauses. Kiran, were you saying something?
Because of it becomes a complex sentence.
Because of if it becomes complex sentence, is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh.
It because of if we have clause in that sentence.
Yeah, you
If
have an if
clause.
clause. Correct. You're right. So I'll put what both of you said together. So you said because of the if clause, and then Tanishka, she has made it a little more general in the sense, which is if clause is what? It's a kind of a dependent clause, right? Because you have a dependent clause, and this case particularly in all conditionals, your dependent clause is going to be a condition clause, which is an if clause. It needn't be always an if clause. There can be other elements that we can use instead of if. We'll talk about that as well. But when you have a condition clause, it automatically, all condition clauses are dependent clauses, which is they are not full sentence. They cannot stand on their own. And because of the presence of such a conditional clause, which is subordinating clause in nature, we have a complex sentence, right? So to make something a complex sentence, at least there should be one dependent clause. This one fulfills that particular demand, and then it becomes a complex sentence, right? All right. Now, a little bit about the nature of the clause elsewhere. No, if I ask you, what kind of a clause is a conditional clause? Is it a noun clause, or it is an adjectival clause, or is it an adverbial clause? What is it?
An adverbial clause.
Adverbial clause, right? So anything that introduces a condition is also an adverbial clause, right? So this is then a complex sentence. This is then an adverbial clause which contains a condition clause or if clause, as you wish to call it, right? About writing this down, do you see how I have written this sentence? If you like me, you will finish everything in the plate. What do you see in terms of punctuational elements in this sentence? You have to separate the subordinate clause or the condition clause from the main clause with a comma, if you are placing the if clause in the beginning. But the same thing if you are putting at the end. So which means your if clause can come either in the beginning of the sentence or it can follow the main clause in the sentence. If it is following, then you don't have to separate it out with a comma. If it comes in the beginning, then you will separate it off with a comma, right? And this is true for all kind of subordinate clauses, okay? Not just if clauses, right? This is more of a punctuation pointer than anything on clause or sentences, right? Okay, now, so a little bit more on this. Which part of the clause, that is, does the if clause tells you about the result, or does the main clause tells you about the result?
The
So if you're
main
using a
clause.
conditional sentence, there definitely has to be a condition and then the result of that, right? So result is shown in which one?
The main clause.
Main clause, right? So obviously, I mean, there's nothing to think so deeply. If clause is basically found in the conditional clause. So that is the condition, that is the clause which represents condition. So obviously the result will have to be shown by the main clause, right? If you change the order, like I spoke to you about it, no, it can either appear in the beginning or at the end of the sentence. That is the conditional clause. Even when you change the position of the main clause and the conditional clause, the meaning is not affected, right? Because they are two independent units which are joined together to form a larger sentence, right? So you change the order of the clauses involved in the construction of the complex sentence, it's not going to change the meaning of the sentence as such, right? Okay, so there very little about the conditional sentences. I think this much is enough to know the premises of what conditional sentences are. And obviously, you know what's the function of it, right? As the name suggests, it helps you introduce conditions in language. Now we'll delve into what are the different types of conditional. So like I mentioned before, you have mostly 4 types. That is the one that are actively used in the language. You have 4 types of them. 0, first, second, and the third one. Even the third conditional is not something that is very common. Mostly it is 0, first, and second. But third is also, you know, it still has more presence than the fourth one. Fourth is fourth. By fourth, we mean in some literature, they will also refer to the fourth conditional as the mixed conditional, right? Wherein you have either a 0 and the second coming together, or the first and the second coming together. But that you can keep at bay for a while. What you need to know are these basic 4, right? 0, first, second, third. 0 conditional Let me give you an example and then let me work on that. The first one, you will tell me after I've written the sentence, why would you consider this as zero conditional? Okay. You drink. Okay. You won't. Say, for example, this is your sentence. If you drink too much coffee, you won't sleep well at night. What is the nature of the sentence? Definitely there is a condition, but what is the nature of that condition? Is it telling you anything extraordinary? Is it telling you anything imaginary? Or is it simply stating the obvious?
Simply stating the obvious thing.
Yeah, it is stating the obvious, which means, in other words, it is stating something that is a fact, right? It is just telling you something that is the matter of existence, right? So if you have a condition which is simply stating the obvious, right, then you call it a zero condition, right? If simply a fact is stated, simply an obvious element or obvious thing is stated in a conditional, then you call it the zero condition, right? Look closely at the grammar of that. How is it represented? What is the tense used here? You have two verbs at least, right? One which is part of the subordinate clause and the other which is part of the main clause. What is the nature of the verb here? Tense of the verbs here?
Ma'am, present and past.
Sorry?
Ma'am, first verb in present tense and second is in future tense.
Second is in future tense. Where do you have the future tense marker in the second one? You're right. The first one is in present tense. Simple present tense, right? How about the second one? You won't sleep well at night.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Ma'am, won't is a contracted form of will not.
That is true. Okay, so say I change that to can't, then even if I'm keeping won't, it won't affect it, because what is your main verb in the sentence?
Sleep.
Sleep, right? So this is where you need to be a little careful. Here, will is not used as a future tense marker. Okay, but let's not get into that for time being. Let's say I change the word won't to can't, right? I say you can't sleep well at night. If you drink too much coffee, you can't sleep well at night. I'll remove the confusion since first conditional already has a reference to future time. If I change to can't, then you can't sleep well at night, then
Ma'am, present tense.
present tense, right? So this is how usually your zero conditional looks like. You have two verbs because of the presence of two clauses. Both the clauses will have verbs in simple present tense. Okay. Both the clauses will have verbs that are used in simple present tense. Okay. This won't that we have in the sentence is basically not a future tense. It's a model verb, and you know when will is used as a model verb, it does not represent future tense, right? But because you have will as a future tense marker for the first conditional, we'll avoid that sort of questions right now. But the sentence that I had given you basically won't is not a future tense marker there. Okay. Just be aware of this thing, although we'll not get into that part right now. You be aware of these things, right? Here it's used as a modal verb, and when will is used as a modal verb, it does not act as a future tense marker, right? Okay, so this is basically what a zero conditional is. Zero conditional helps you talk about things that are generally true, or it helps you state things that are obvious, helps you state facts, okay, like a law or a rule. So if you drink too much coffee, you can't sleep well at night. Okay, now there are other particles that you can use instead of if to show that it's a conditional statement. Can you name some of them? Or at least one of it in the zero conditional format. If you change if to something else, can you make a conditional sentence? You can use when instead of if, right? So for example, a sentence like when the sun goes down, it gets dark, right? This is also stating the obvious, right? So instead of using the if element in the conditional clause, you changed it to when. So you can either use if and when and create a conditional sentence, right? But the major catch here is that in zero conditional, you only state the obvious, and because of which you will see that the tense used in both the conditional clause and the main clause is going to be in simple present tense, right? This you should know whenever you are stating facts. When you have learnt about tense, you know. In simple present tense, the explanation is that this tense helps you state something that is habitual, something that is factual in nature. Same applies here as well. Because the conditional is stating that is obvious or a fact, obviously the tense is going to be simple present tense. Okay, understood? Okay, so we'll go
Yes.
further. Okay, now another sentence that I want to discuss with you. Okay, if it doesn't rain tomorrow, I will go to my friend's house. Look at this sentence. If it doesn't rain tomorrow, I will go to my friend's house. Right? Now, what is happening in this sentence? What kind of condition is this? Can you comment a little bit on that? What is happening here in this sentence?
Actually, if the person is making judgment or what thing is that he will do this.
Okay, that's
That's what
definitely a presentation of the condition, but more than that, anything? If you look
it
closely
is
at the sentence,
conditional and
are
future
we
tense is
stating the obvious here? Is there anything obvious about the sentence?
no,
No,
it's not that not obvious. I
there
think.
is nothing obvious here. But does the situation look a little real? Do you see that there's a possibility of something like this? So there's a real possibility of something like this to happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, right. So in some texts, no, you will see a classification. We are not using that. But in case if you're referring to other sources or resources, you will see that some people, some grammarians would like to classify conditionals as real conditionals and unreal conditionals. And by real conditionals, basically they mean this first condition, right? And what do they mean by it? That this conditional statement basically helps you express something that has got a real possibility in future or in present, right? Whether it's in present or future or whatever, it expresses, helps you express a condition and a result that has a real possibility of happening, right? That there's still a chance for something like that to happen. So first conditional is basically that, right? Wherein you form a condition which you think is possible, right? A condition when applied has a possible result. Those kind of sentences are called first conditionals, like this one. If it doesn't rain tomorrow, I will go to my friend's house, right? This looks like a future possibility, right? Something that's a real possibility. And look at the sentence here. Sorry, look at the tense here. What is the tense in the conditional clause?
Future.
Conditional clause, if clause.
Conditional clause is present. If
Present
it is
tense, right?
present,
Simple present
yes,
tense. And the result is in, that is in the main clause, you have what?
future tense.
Simple
I will
future, right? Simple future. Because we are talking about something that's a real possibility. It may not have happened. It will still, it's something that is going to happen, which means it's automatically in the future tense, right? So the condition is in the simple present, and then your result is going to be in the simple future tense, right? Simple present and simple future, right? As far as the grammar part is concerned, this is how a first conditional will look, right? Now another one. We have talked about the real conditional. Now the next one, if you have to follow those kind of grammarians, then they will call it the unreal conditionals, right? Look at a statement like this. If I had an oven, I would have baked. Sorry. I would bake a cake. For example, look at the sentence. If I had an oven, I would bake a cake. What is the flavor from this sentence? Is it different from you can compare the sentence that we use for first conditional and the one that we are using right now. If it doesn't rain tomorrow, I will go to my friend's house. If I had an oven, I would bake a cake.
I think he's making
I'm
imagination that
something like wishing.
Sorry?
he's making imagination and he's wishing that if I have something like that.
Yeah, so a possibility of something like this is much lesser than, saying something like, if it doesn't rain tomorrow, I will go to my friend's house, right? Or maybe this example is a little out of reach. Usually the kind of sentences you would have here is even more imaginary in nature, something like uh, if I won a lottery, I would buy a big house, something of that sort. Something which has very feeble possibility, something which is so unlikely that it sounds a little imaginary and unreal, right? The sentence would still pass the test if you ask me, but mostly the kind of sentences that are used in this conditional would be something that has very little possibility or almost zero possibility, or something that is more imaginary, right? So like this, if I had won a lottery, right, I would buy a bungalow, maybe something of this sort, right? Yeah, let's take this example because that is something that would fit more the context of the second conditional, right? If I had won a lottery, I would buy a bungalow, right? So something that has, when you want to state a sentence that is conditional but is, more unlikely to happen, it has very feeble chances of, happening, or something that sounds more imaginary or hypothetical in nature, then you use the second conditional, right? That is how you should be using it. Now look at something like, look at the structure and the grammar of the sentence. What do you see in the conditional clause? What is the tense that you see here? Had one.
Past.
Oh, sorry, not had one. If I won a lottery, okay, not if I had one. If I won a
uh,
lottery,
Present.
if I won a lottery, I'd buy a bungalow. So what is the structure here? If I won a lottery, I'd buy a bungalow. You have simple past.
Present.
Right? So you
Past.
have yeah, correct. And then what about the second one? I would buy a bungalow.
Mm, Present.
Yeah, you have would plus the verb form, right? Would plus the verb form, right? You, in the first place, you have in the conditional clause, you have simple past followed by would, right? Plus what do you have? The infinitive form, or you can say the verb, right? Bare form of the verb. So until now, there is no complication. For the first two, which is the zero and the first conditionals, you are only using simple present tense and simple future tense. Zero conditional has only simple present tense. There's no case of confusions or doubts there. First conditional, in the conditional, they use the simple present. And to present the condition, which is a future possibility, you use simple future tense. Second conditional is more imaginary and hypothetical in nature, more unreal in nature. So you're using the simple past to present the condition and then use would plus the bare form of the verb, or also known as the infinitive form, to represent the result, right? So if I won a lottery, I would buy a bungalow. Okay. The next
Yes, ma'am.
form. Now the next form is what? Next form is going to be the third conditional. When do we use the third conditional? Any idea? Although I should say that this is not something that we would see very often in writing or text, but this is also used. Second and third conditional is related to each other in the sense that even the third conditional also has elements of imagination. Okay, let's look at this sentence. I'll show you an example. If I had known this before, I would have performed better in the test. See, look at this sentence. If I had known this before, I would have performed better in the test. Can you interpret something out of it? Do you see that still there is some element of imagination here, like you see in the case of second conditional,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So you're imagining how things could have been different, and when imagine how things could have been different in the past. We are not talking about the present or the future. We are imagining of how things could have been different in the past for us, right? And look at the result. If something had been different in the past, then something else would have happened again in the past. Okay, so both are in the past form. We are still talking about something that has happened in the past. So both the condition and the result are in the past, right? The condition is talking about imagining a particular thing, right? Imagining how things could have been different in the past. And because of how things could have been different in the past, something else would have happened differently in the past again, which is the result part. If I had known this before, I would have performed better in the test. You see how both of this is happening in the past in the sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is basically where you use the third conditional, right? When you want to imagine of a different condition that would have led to a different result in the past. Okay, keep this point in mind. Both are past. We are talking about in the third conditional, both the condition and the result has to be spoken of having happened in the past, right? And what kind of a situation? Something that was more imaginary in nature. Okay. So, one more sentence from this part. So let me ask you one more question. Can I change the would in the second part, which is in the main clause? Can I change it to could and might? If I write something like, if I had known this before, I could have performed better in the test. Or if I had known this before, I might have performed better in the test. Will it be okay for me to write something like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, all right. Right. There's no problem. I can change would to either could or might. All of that can go in there, right? There's no problem with it. One more thing. Usually you use such sentences, third conditionals are usually used when you want to raise a complaint, right? When you want to regret or complain about something, right? Even when you read this particular sentence, you get a flavor of something that is more negative, right? You don't get something that is positive in nature. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So another use of the third conditional is that you use it usually when you want to complain or regret about something. Now, irrespective of whether you're using the negative forms inside the sentence, the overall flavor and sense of the sentence is a little negative because you usually use it to express regret and complain, right? Anything else
Yes,
on
ma'am.
this? Yeah. Good. Anything else that you want to know about this? That's all, right? The main part of this is only this much, right? Now, in terms of the grammar, what do you see? Had known, would have performed. What is the tense in the first part of the conditional clause? Past
Most
perfect, right? You have past perfect in the conditional clause. And how about the second part? Like in the previous form, you had would plus bear form of the
yes,
verb, right? In the second one, you have would plus.
have, have plus more
Hmm.
preference. It has its present actually. Having present tense.
Yeah, you have performed. So you have would plus
Have
have performed, right? So this is going to be same. So we're not going to call it plus the present perfect or past perfect or anything. We're going to write it simply because even if you change the subject to I or he or she or has or sorry, they or we or us or anything, this is going to remain have only. You're not going to change it. So would plus have plus the V3 form of the verb. That is how it is going to be, right? The first part of the conditional is going to be in past perfect. And the second part of the conditional, which is the main clause, is going to be in the form of would plus have plus V3 form. Okay, so this is the third conditional for you. Remember, usually the third conditional is used to always talk about something that you are complaining about or some regret that you have to show on something, right? And like in the case of second conditional, it is usually used to talk about something that is imaginary, but something that has happened in the past and has an effect on the result in the past. Both are in the past. Okay, unlike the second condition. Okay, this is the basic condition that you need to remember to use the third conditional. So you get both the function and the grammar part of the conditionals for 0, first, second, and third. Right, good to go. So let's look at a few questions here then. I'll share that sheet with you so that you can work on it. So on the sheet, the conditional is indicated. You're going to rework on the verbs used in the sentence in its right tense form so as to convert or to form that sentence in the given conditional, the type of conditional, okay? Shall we start? The first one, I think there are about 30 questions. I do not know if we'll be able to finish all of them, but let's see how much ever we can do, we'll do. Okay. So first question we have to complete in the first conditional format. So you need to make changes to the verbs accordingly. How will you change the verbs so that we can convert the sentence into a first conditional clause? First blank, if we dash harder, not work, we dash not pass the exam. What is first conditional? You're going to talk about something that's a real possibility, right?
If we don't work, we don't. If it doesn't
If
work,
we,
doesn't work, don't.
yeah, so if we do not, right? If we do not work harder, we,
Won't. We don't.
we won't, or
We
we, yeah, you can either
we
write
can't.
we won't pass the exam, or you can simply write we will not pass the
We
exam.
will not.
Huh. We won't pass the exam or we will not pass the exam, right? So others, do you get why do we write we do not work or we don't work harder? We won't pass the exam. How did we derive with this verb? Is this clear to you? You're going to use the simple present and simple future, right? That's the condition how you present the first conditional, the tense condition, right? Understood? Any question? Others? Okay, all right. Second one, how would you answer this one? This is third conditional, which means we are going to talk about a situation that was a situation which, if were different in the past, could have produced a different result in the past itself. So then, third conditional, how are you going to change the verb?
Did. Is just considered.
What is the form of tense for the conditional clause?
Second or third condition is
This
past
is
perfect.
third, no? Past perfect, right? So if the students,
It's no. Okay.
if the students had not been late, right? If the students had not been late, can others hear or is there a confusion? Do you have any question, not Kiran, the others? Nitin and
No, ma'am.
Tanishka?
No, no, ma'am.
No, right? Okay, so if the students had not been late for the exam, right? Because you're using third conditional, your if condition should have a past perfect form. So if the students had not been late for the exam, they dash pass. Would plus have plus V3. So they would have passed. Got this one? Yes,
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
Okay. Third one is again third conditional. Now you guys look at it and tell me what would be the answer. Third question.
Had not been.
Hmm.
If the weather had not been so cold, we would not. We would go to the beach. We would.
Mhm.
We would go to the beach.
If the
Right.
weather, huh,
If the weather had not been so cold,
if the weather had not been so cold, yes, correct. Then,
we would
hmm,
went to the beach.
no. What do you have to
No,
use? You have to use have plus V3, right?
yes, ma'am.
We would have gone to the beach. We would
Okay,
have
we would
gone to the
have.
beach. Okay. We would have gone to the beach. Okay. Fourth one, second conditional now. If she dash have her laptop with her, she dash email me. So, imaginary situation, unreal situation mostly.
had if she had her
Hmm,
laptop
correct. If she had her
with
laptop
her,
with her, she
would
would,
email, email.
yeah, she would email me, right? She would email me, correct. If she had her laptop with her, she would email me, correct. Fifth one is first conditional. If she dash not go to the meeting, I dash not go either.
If she do not
Yeah, if she, not
go
do
to the
not, she
meeting,
is what, it's singular, no? So you'll have to use does.
if she doesn't
If she doesn't go to the meeting,
go to the
I,
meeting, I will not
I will not
go.
go, or you can say I won't go either, right? I won't go either. Okay, sixth one, third conditional. If the baby dash sleep better last night, I dash not be so tired. Yes, others, you can also try. Don't have to depend
Yeah,
on just one person. If
that
you're listening, please also try and answer the question. Sixth one, third conditional. Nitin, you want to try? No, nobody. Tanishka,
No, ma'am.
third conditional, no. What would
if
you
the
use in
baby
the conditional? Sorry,
if the baby
Ma'am,
had
the
been
tense
sleep
past
better
and
last night,
I did not hear you, Tanishka. Yes, Kiran, I'll come back to you. You are right. What were you saying, Tanishka?
ma'am, you are asking about the tense.
Yeah, I am asking about the tense and the answer both. If the baby, Kiran, you're right. You said had slept, right? If the baby had slept. Hmm? The baby had slept better last night. So past perfect form, you're correct. I dash not be so tired.
Would have.
Would have, would not have been, right? Because you have not be here. Would not have been so tired. So one is in the past perfect form and the second one is would plus have plus V3, right? So if the baby had slept better last night, I would not have been so tired. That's your third conditional. Seventh one is first conditional. If the teacher dash gives us lots of homework this weekend, I dash not be happy.
it was the same. If the teacher
If the,
give us this
if the
homework,
teacher gives us, right?
I
Because
will
teacher is in
not
singular
be.
form. Yeah. She, sorry, teacher is in the singular form, so you'll have to use the verb in the singular form as well. So if the teacher gives us lots of homework this weekend, I will not be happy, right? Because simple future tense for the main clause. Correct. Okay. Eighth one, second conditional. So we're going to talk about unreal conditions. If Lucy dash enough time, she dash travel more.
if Lucy had enough time,
Hmm.
she would travel more.
She would travel more. Yes. If Lucy had more, sorry, had enough time, she would travel more. Correct. Ninth one, first conditional again. If the children dash not eat soon, they dash be grumpy. Children is
If
in
the
plural.
children do not Do not.
Yes, correct. If the children do not eat soon or if the children don't eat soon. Both are correct. They dash
They
be
will
grumpy.
be
They
grumpy.
will be grumpy. Correct. They will be grumpy. Next one is again the same. First conditional. 10th one.
If I do not go to the bus soon,
Ha. If
I will be tired in the morning.
if I don't, right? Simple present tense. So if I don't go to bed soon, I
Will be
will be tired in the morning. If I don't go to bed soon, I will be tired in the morning. So simple present tense, simple future tense. Second conditional, this one. Next, both sentences are in second condition, 11th and 12th. If I dash want a new car, I dash buy one. Simple past tense and then would. So if I wanted a new car,
want to.
I would
Oh
buy one.
yeah, that
Yeah. If I wanted a new car, I would buy one. Right. Again, the 12th one would be if Jose dash not speak good French, he dash not move to Paris. Simple past, would, and the verb form. What would be the answer? If Jose, simple past tense would be if Jose didn't speak good French, right? Not speak. If it was just speak, then we could have changed it to spoken. But then because you have the negative form, you'll have to use the did auxiliary. So if Jose didn't speak good French, he would not move to Paris, right? He would not move to Paris. Understood this one?
this one.
Okay. 13th one is first conditional. Again, if John dash drink too much coffee, he dash get ill. First conditional.
Drink.
Yeah, if
He
John drinks, right, you change it to drink because John is singular. John drinks too much coffee, he
will get.
will get, will get ill, right? He will get ill. 14th is third conditional again. If we dash tidy our flat, we dash not lose our keys. Third conditional.
If we have tidy our
Yes.
flat,
If so, we have to use
we
the
would
past perfect form,
we
right?
would
So if we had tidied, if we had
tidy.
tidied our flat, we
We would not have lost our
correct. We
keys.
would not have lost our keys, right? Because V3 form of lose will be lost.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
why. If we had tidied our flat, we would not have lost our keys. 15th is again third conditional. If Luke dash not send flowers to his mother, she dash not be happy. Past perfect form would be if Luke had not sent flowers to his mother, she would have not been happy. Okay, she would have not been happy. Would plus have plus V3 form of not be, which is not been, right? So if Luke had not sent flowers to his mother, she would have not been happy. Second conditional for 16th and 17th sentence. If the children dash be in bed, I dash be able to have a bath. Simple past and then would plus where form. Simple past tense for be will be form of the verb. You can either have was or were. Will you use was or were here in the 16th sentence? Yeah, yes, correct, Nitin. It would be were, right? If the children, because children is in plural, you'll have to use the plural form of the verb be in past tense, which is were. If the children were in bed, I dash be able to have a bath. I would be able to have a bath, right? You don't change it anything there. You're only supposed to use would and then the bare form of the verb, which is be able to. So if the children were in bed, I would be able to have a bath. Second conditional. 17th is again the same. Second conditional. If you dash not be so stubborn, we dash not have so many arguments. What would you say if you were not, right? So with you, since you're using the same form in both singular and plural, you're using were. So if you were not so stubborn, we dash not have so many arguments. We would not have so many arguments because all we are left with is just the would and then the given form of the verb, which is where form. So you simply add would not have. If you were not so stubborn, we would not have so many arguments. Third conditional, 18th, if Julie dash not go to Sweden, she dash go to Germany. So in third conditional, what would be your first blank? In what tense? Past perfect, right? Yes, had. So we have to complete it now, Nitin. If Julie had not gone, right? You have to write it in full past perfect form. So if Julie had not gone to Sweden, she would plus have plus V3. So would have gone to Germany, right? If Julie had not gone to Sweden, she would have gone to Germany, right? 19th one is first conditional. If she dash go to the library, she dash study more. This is a simple one. First conditional means you only use simple present and then simple future, right? So if she goes to the library, right? If she goes to the library, she will study more. That would be the 19th one because it's a first conditional. Okay. Are you following or do you have doubts? Tanishka and all, are your network working fine? I don't see you responding. I'm just checking on you. Yeah, it seems there's some problem because I'm not able to hear you. Nitin, how about you? Do you not have a mic or something to speak, or is it difficult for you to unmute and speak? Okay, anyways, we'll continue with this one. 20th one, if we dash not have an argument, we not be late. And this is in third conditional. So again, past perfect form and the would plus have plus past participle form, right? V3 form. So if we had not had an argument, right? So have again in its participle form is going to be in the had form. So if we had not had an argument, we would not have been late or we would have not been late. Both are fine. Okay, we would not have been late. If we had not had an argument, we would not have been late. 21st one would be second conditional. So this means we're going to present an unreal conditional or unreal situation. If you dash arrive early, it dash be less stressful. So here usually the first part is going to be in simple past tense, followed by the would plus the bare form of the verb. So if you arrived early, it would be less stressful, right? If you arrived early, it would be less stressful. That would be the second conditional form for that sentence. The 22nd one would be third conditional. If I dash not go to the party, I dash not meet Amanda. So third conditional statements usually take a, sorry? Right. So third conditional statements usually take a past perfect form. So if I had not gone to the party, right? If I had not gone to the party, I dash not meet Amanda. So I would have not met Amanda. So would then have then the V3 form of the given verb, which is not met. 23rd would be second. 23rd and 4th both. 24th both are in second conditional form. If Julie dash like chocolate, I dash give her some. So if Julie liked chocolate, I would give her some, right? So simple past and then would plus the bare form of the verb here. So if Julie liked chocolate, I would give her some. Same applies to the 24th sentence, which is if Luke live in the UK, I dash see him more often. Will change to if Luke lived in the UK, I would see him more often. Right, which means in the second conditional, no, the second part of the verb don't change in form at all because it's used in the bare form. Only would is added before it. So if Luke lived in the UK, I would see him more often. Third conditional, 25th sentence, if the children dash not eat all the chocolate, they dash not feel sick. Past perfect and the have plus V3 form, would plus have plus V3 form. If the children had not eaten all the chocolate, they would have not felt sick. Right? 26 is first conditional again. If they dash not arrive soon, we dash be late. Second conditional, simple past and would plus bare form. So, sorry, 26 is first conditional. So, simple present and simple future. Very easy. If they don't arrive soon, right? Because you have the negative form here. Don't arrive soon, we will be late. If they don't arrive soon, we will be late. 27th would be third conditional, which is if she dash study Mandarin, she dash go to Beijing. Like already expressed, past perfect and the would plus have plus V3. So if she had studied Mandarin, she would have gone to Beijing. Then the 28th one, which is again second conditional. So simple past and would plus bare form. If we dash not be so tired, we dash go out, right? If we were not so tired, we would go out, right? Second conditional. So simple past tense. We is a plural subject. So you use the plural form of the verb be, which is in past and that is were. So if we were not so tired, we would go out. Would and then the bare form of the verb go, would go out. 29th is first conditional. If you dash by the present, I dash wrap it up. So first conditional, we know it's simple present and simple future for the main clause. So if you by the present, I will wrap it up, right? I will wrap it up. Last one is same. So what will the sentence change to? If Lucy dash not quit her job soon, she dash go crazy. If Lucy doesn't quit her job soon, she will go crazy, right? Simple present and simple future. Right? So try and practice on these questions as much as you can, but more than just knowing simple present, simple past here and there, understand what these conditionals are. Okay, what are the conditions or what are the instances in which these conditions are used, right? So as to not simply by heart simple future here and simple past tense there. It doesn't work like that. Know what each of these conditionals are used for and then see why the tense that we use in that sentence is being used for. Right? That way you can do a better job on the kinds of conditionals, right? And but keep in mind that the most commonly used conditionals are the first, zero first and the second one. Third conditionals we don't use as commonly as you see here in the exercise at least. The more commonly used ones would be zero first, second. Out of it, zero is to state the obvious, first is to state the real possibility of something happening, and second conditional is used to state something that is more imaginary or more hypothetical, or something that has a very feeble chance to happen, right? That's all you need to know about the conditionals, right? Okay, any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then we'll stop for today. It's already 7:05, I guess. You might have other classes to go to. In case you have any questions with regards to the conditionals, either from this session or from the lectures that you have, or any questions in the graded or practice assignments, of course, you can write to us. Okay. Okay, then. Thank you so much. And I'll meet you next week again. Right. We discuss quantifiers for the next class.